White
by the
Democrats,
left.
correct? Okay. White Democrats, correct?
Most black people were Democrats, and they voted for these white people
Not
too.
voters. I said who's in charge of
Who's
the
in charge?
system.
Well, we're still talking about systemic racism. It's not fair. It's wrong, and you're discouraging black people from working hard. 1990s.
Okay.
What the hell was that? Oh, that's Tezlyn Figaro coming onto the scene. That's how she enters into the situation, into the conversation. That's how she enters into the conversation. Let's go with her. Let's go.
Mr. Elder, quick question. Let's just remove the word racism, since that seems to be a word that triggers, a conversation down the water hole. Let's just focus on the word system.
Okay.
You mentioned that the system was the one that discouraged. And again, we have no problem with agreeing that the family, the black family, should certainly has some room for some improvement. But let's just focus on system.
Room for
You said
improvement?
system. Well, we're not going to go down that water. We're not
Okay.
going to go down that water hole. Let's get to the question. So the question is, you said that the system encouraged black women to be single mothers, correct?
I said the welfare state, yes.
The welfare, the system. So who's in
Okay.
charge of the system? Who was in charge of the system?
Well, it was Democrats that passed it.
And who were
The-
Democrats? Were they black or white at that time?
Well, at the time, majority of black people were Democrats, as the majority of black
No,
people
no,
are
no,
Democrats
not
now.
the voters. I'm talking about the system. Remember, the main idea is the word system. Who was in charge of the system at the
Who is she talking to? Remember the main idea. The main idea that we're talking about is the systems. I need you to focus, Larry Elder. I need you to focus on what we're talking about. We're talking about the systems. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about this. We're talking about the systems. Service. This woman is a disgrace. She say, yeah, the black people has some, what'd she say, some work to do.
time, the Democrats at the time, the system? I'm just going to Charlamagne's point about white or black. Was it white Democrats in charge of the system or black Democrats in charge of the system?
Well, if you're prepared to say that Lyndon Johnson did this viciously with an intent to destroy the black family, I disagree. He did it with the best of intentions. And if you look at the New York Times, which is left wing, the Washington Post, which is left wing, they cheered all of this.
Right, and what I'm asking was it white people, so I'm going to ask again in case my mic's not coming through clearly. Was it white people in charge of the system or black people in charge of that system that helped break down the black family? It's a simple, yes, just a simple question, white or black?
Well, you didn't have to go on welfare unless you voluntarily chose to go on welfare. The inducement was put there by
White
the
Democrats,
left.
correct? Okay. White Democrats, correct?
most black people were Democrats, and they voted for these white people
Not
too.
voters. I said who's in charge of the
Who's in charge?
system? Who's in charge?
Who put them in charge?
Was Lyndon Johnson white or black?
Who put them in
Maybe
charge?
that'll help.
Fine, Lyndon Johnson was white.
Thank you.
Okay. But if your argument is that the reason he did it is because of racism, then I disagree. He did it because of
That's not my argument. I just asked you a simple question. Was he white or black? Charlamagne?
And Mr. Elder, you said you talked about the smashing.
Yo. I just ask you a simple question. I just ask a simple question. That's all I ask. That's all I know. I don't know nothing else. All I want is a simple question. Give me a simple answer to my simple question. Was he white or he black? Well, friend, he was Democrat. And guess who? To Larry Elder's point, who voted them in? The black people. The black Democrats voted them in. They voted in the white supremacist man to come in and to put these systems in place that chained them up, pretty much, right? Changed them in place. The Democrats did that. But black Democrats did that. They voted for that. They voted for their own demise, right? They voted for that. And they continue to vote for that till this day. I mean, these people, have they not learned nothing since that time of L. Lyndon B. Johnson? Since the welfare system was put in place, since all that was put in place, since they removed the men from the homes, all these years later, we're still dealing with the same thing. The women and the girls are still dealing with the same thing. And they're still voting Democrat. The white liberal progressive has always been it. They've been the KKK. They've been all of it. And it continues today. But today they've turned it around and said, they's your friend. Well, they said that back then too. It's a shame, but that was his point, is that black Democrats put those systems in place by voting in those white, what do they call them? White supremacists, to put you in those systems she likes so much.